Um, my name is Joyce. I live in the New York City area. So I actually have three questions. If it's too much,
No worries, no
you
worries.
don't have to
We
answer
have
all
lots
of
of time.
them or
Yeah,
pick the one
we
you
have lots
like.
of time. Yep.
Okay, so no, in no particular order. What signals do you look for? Like I
Mm.
understand I've asked you like about timing before, and you say like you don't like to talk about timing because it's impossible to know like when things will play out, right? Okay, that's fine. So then I guess what are like signals that you will look for actively as kind of a um like a sign that things are going to change dramatically one way or another.
Yeah, so when I follow the news, I'm always looking for anomalies, okay? Or the idea of cognitive dissonance, which is given my understanding of something, this should not be happening. And so the best example of cognitive dissonance is when the FBI they raided Trump's Mar-a-Lago mansion back in, I believe, was it 2021? March of 2021. But I knew that when the FBI did that, that Trump would become president in 2024. And the reason why is that with the FBI weaponized against Trump, Trump would have no choice but to reclaim the presidency to defend himself. Also, the FBI, by doing that, made Trump into a folk hero, right? Because the American people are disgusted with the political elite. And Trump, in the 4 years he was in office, didn't really do much for American people. And that's probably why he lost his re-election campaign. Uh, but when the FBI invaded, when the FBI raided Trump's house, the people felt that Trump is now the underdog. And it's possible that Trump, if he goes back into office, he would basically make everyone piss their pants, really shake things up. And so I was convinced after that event that Trump would win in 2024. And that's number one. Number two is when in January 2020, when the Americans killed General Qasem Soleimani. And the reason why is the General Soleimani was the Middle East envoy for the Iranians. And for the past 20 years, he was working with the Americans uh, on the war on terror. So the Iranians were huge supporters of the Americans in their fight against ISIS in Iraq, because the Iranians did not want these Sunni extremists near the border. So for these past 20 years, the Americans and General Soleimani were getting along really well, and then they killed him. So that basically told me the Americans were intent on declaring war against Iran. So those are two things that I thought were not anomalies, and they didn't really accord with how things work. And that just tells you that there's a sea shift in place, that something is afoot. So the assassination of General Soleimani convinced me that the Americans would invade Iran really, really quickly. And they would have done so if Trump had won his re-election campaign in 2020. And then when Trump got raided by the FBI, I was convinced that Trump would win the 2024 election.
Interesting. Thank you. So my second question is, it seems to me you read primarily English news. So I'm curious, if you read or can read news in other languages. And if so, what do you read and kind of what are the disparities that you see between different languages?
That's a great question. I wished I read widely, but I don't read widely. I stick primarily to English news sources just because it's just easier for me to access. I tend to read really quickly. I can read Chinese, but I read it very slowly. Now, I do keep I do keep apprised of Chinese news, and my wife just tells me what the headlines are every single day. I'm interested in Chinese news because I find actually Chinese news to be actually pretty objective when it comes to foreign events. China doesn't seem that invested in the world, and so its news media tends to be pretty objective when it reports. And I'll pay attention to some Russian and Iranian news as well, right? So when an event happens, I'm trying to get information from all sources. So maybe the Americans will say something. Maybe the BBC or New York Times says something about Iran, in which case I would want to know what the Iranian state media would say about the same thing. And where they converge, I know it to be objective. But I mean, like it's a great point where, if you really want to keep informed about the world, you want to have as many different news sources as possible in different languages. And nowadays with social media, it is possible to auto translate a lot of news items.
So I don't know if you've seen like the thing called Press Reader. They have it in hotels from time to
Right,
time, and it kind of collates a lot of different newspapers from everywhere.
right.
Um, okay, so I have my last question is, so I have kids as well. I have two young daughters. So I'm curious, for the purpose of helping them, not be stuck in a box, right, in whatever education system they're in, to, develop them as critical thinkers. Are there programs that you know of that are good for that, that aren't necessarily in any particular physical location? And or is that something you're developing yourself?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you know the Waldorf school system. The Waldorf school
Mhm.
system developed by Rudolf Steiner. That's something to look at. The Silicon Valley executives in California, they send all their kids to these Waldorf schools because these Waldorf schools emphasize a lot of natural play, just like kids run around in the forest a lot. And that's really important for kids. And Silicon Valley executives do this because they know that technology is designed to be as addictive as possible. So if kids at a very early age start looking at the screen too much, their minds are captured. The screens are set in a certain way that it becomes almost addictive, right? It's always causing this dopamine release inside the brain. And so you want your kids away from sugar. You want your kids away from the screen as much as possible. I have three kids, and I struggle with this because these things are so pervasive throughout society, right? And these things are designed to be addictive. So, the quickest way to solve a problem is, hey, if the kid is naughty, hey, here's a candy, shut up, man. Or hey, here's an iPad, go away for half an hour. So it's very convenient, these things, but they're really, really bad for children. So my best advice is to really limit as much as possible both sugar access as well as screen access.
Thank you.
Great. And you're the third question?
Oh no, that was my third
Oh, sorry,
question.
sorry, sorry. I lost it. Okay. Thanks a lot. Okay. Okay. Nick. Hi, Nick.
Hi, Professor. Hi, this is Nick from Beijing. Thank you for hosting this meeting. I really appreciate this opportunity. I basically have two questions on self-exploration and then the other one on educating young children. I believe Joyce's question is actually quite similar to mine.
Okay.
So let me first set up my perspective.
Sure.
So when watching through, yeah, thank you. When watching through your lectures, I feel enlightened many times, and I would like to think that my inner spark shines when I got my own ideas inspired in this process. So from these experiences, I also recollected that when during the process of me growing up in China, I actually have had some of these similar moments where I can simply relate to the idea and believe it to be true, even without logic reasoning. And in many of these cases, however, those insights I had are opposite to the common sense I was taught in China education system or my parents. Therefore, most of them are actually discouraged. And I was taught the priority is to get good marks and good scores and a good job. So these conflicts have always been in my mind, even until like a couple of years ago, in my 30s, basically. And in the system is finally clear through learning your view of the world and reflecting it. into my daily life. So, and then, however, from this enlightenment, I have a new doubt, which originated from a Marxist theory I once firmly believed to be to make sense. So basically, the base and the superstructure theory, the material base is kind of dominant when shaping the superstructure. So my oversimplification is basically that. Um, and my doubt is based on this is that if the base and superstructure theory is true and also can relate to personal level, then is it possible that my enlightenment is based on the materialist education I received, which granted me my current economic status, which I would say is comfortable in China.
Sure.
And then so then I would have the free bandwidth and also the sort of the vision, the open vision to access more knowledge and seek insights. So I'm curious that my first question is, I'm curious how your view is on this base and superstructure theory, and does my doubt make sense? And then directly related, I have a 4-year-old son. I want him to have the same insights that I had when he grows up and seek his own path of enlightenment. But then it's really the classic question for China family. How should I balance this education for his material base or aiming for the good marks? And then the education for his imagination and exploration. It might be sound stupid for me to be anxious about this, but I'm the father. As a father, I'm genuinely concerned. I also have read your book.
Oh, right.
Try to look look. It's a really great book.
Thank you.
Like I spent like one afternoon and reading it. I just cannot stop. Um, so, but really want to have this discussion with you on these topics directly. As you see, they're kind of related.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
thank you so much. And I really sympathize with your plight because I'm also Chinese. And we grew up in a culture that is extremely materialistic. So I was
Yep.
not schooled in China, but I was schooled in Toronto, and my parents were Chinese, and so I've always developed a very materialistic worldview, and we were not all religious. And for the longest time, I was a firm believer in Marxist theory, especially the idea of base and superstructure, and I really believe the world was materialistic. But as time progresses, I recognize that materialism is a dead end. If you really believe that the world is just materialistic and there's no spiritual aspect to the world, there's no God, I think that's a source of your fear and anxiety, right? Because if you just take that as a premise, then you're just stuck forcing your kid try to do as well in school as possible. You're stuck trying to get your kid into the best school, the best university, the best job, and it's a dead end. So I think that you have to really question this materialist perspective. And these past 4 years, from my intense study of Dante, the great books, Homer, Plato, from my own analysis and research in the occult, I'm convinced now that the materialist worldview is just wrong. It makes absolutely no sense, and it's a dead end. And so I've adopted a much more spiritual, religious worldview, and this it's very similar to Hinduism, Buddhism, Hermeticism, Gnosticism. I think all the great religious traditions align in the belief that the universe is conscious and that our consciousness is what makes us human, and our consciousness is connected infinitely to the universe across infinite dimensions. And I plan to do a series on their cult very soon, hopefully as soon as September or October. But I really want to enlighten the world and teach the idea that the universe is conscious and that we are all spiritual beings at the end of the day. And once you recognize that, then the answers unfold before you. And once you're committed to living a spiritual life, then you'll figure out how to raise children to the best of your ability. So I have 3 young kids, and the eldest is 8, the middle is 4, the youngest is 3, and I struggle with the same issues that you struggle with, Nick. And what I've come,
Yeah.
what I recognize is that as long as you make the commitment to love your child and respect your child's individuality, then the child will be fine. And your child doesn't really need to go to the best university. Your child doesn't need to be a millionaire. Your child will be a very, very happy person. So, love, it's really about trusting the other person, right? So I
Yep.
understand there's a lot of pressure to make sure your child does well. But if you find the strength to just trust your child and let your child communicate more of your child, then your child is going to do really well. I mean, I work in education. For the past 20, 30 years in China, I've written 2 books about
Hmm.
Chinese education. And in my experience,
Yeah.
the kids who do the best are those with parents who are loving, who give them a lot of space, who respect the choices, who are like friends with them. And the kids who don't do really well are kids who are like tiger moms, right? Who pressure the kids to succeed every single day. So I think, if you love your child, you would
Hmm.
trust your child and respect his or her opinions. But if you want your child to do really well in life, you would also just trust your child and respect his or her opinions. Okay.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
All right.
Maybe a very quick follow-up.
Sure.
You talk about religious and spiritual learning, and what is the right time or right uh, avenue for introducing those ideas to children? Especially, I grew up, I grew up in China, so I don't have those experiences. So I just, yeah, I'm kind of lost on this.
I think children are intuitively religious people. So there's really
Okay.
yeah, you should start right away. We have great conversations at home about religion. My eldest son, who's 8 years old, he's convinced that he's from another planet. Okay, his soul transmigrated to our world. So they have an intuitive understanding of these things. So, I mean, introduce your child to Buddhism, to Taoism, to different aspects of religion. And that I think is really going to motivate your child to do better in school. I have a good friend in Beijing, and she has 3 kids, and they're a Catholic family, and her kids are
Hmm.
wonderful. So I think having that sort of like religious community is really, really helpful in raising a child.
Gotcha. Really appreciate the
Yeah, no,
discussion.
no.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Nick. Okay.